the SM Media Podcast Network. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of SM Media's Countdown to Cheltenham 2026 and our final episode in the series. Cheltenham Festival 2026 is in the history books for another year, but we will dissect and take a look at a very fascinating week, a very enjoyable week for all racing fans. To join me as always, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome from the Scottish Daily Mail, Callum McClurkin, mate. How are we? How are we feeling?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, to review everything and see what's what. But yeah, very very competitive whirlwind of a Cheltenham Festival.
The question I think we've all got is, how did you get on point wise?
Very well indeed. Yeah, no, Tuesday was flying. Madara, the best bet of the week, came in, so that was important. Couldn't really be caught. Mid Wednesday started to turn a bit, give a bit back, but got the Gold Cup right, and it was kind of it felt like a Royal Ascot kind of thing where it's really competitive and you have to understand that you just kind of you're not gonna win every single day, to make profit. You need to have your fill at the right time, and you need to know when to hold them, know when to fold them a little bit, and that's kind of what I did really. And if it comes early, like it did last year, in fairness, the best day was the first day as well. You just have to kind of really kind of protect what you've got in the main, but still having a go at it. But no, you've got to be content, make profit, particularly when every big bookmakers report that they won every day.
Yeah, I like yourself, a good start on Saturday, the Tuesday. Old Part Star was a good winner. Saratoga turned out the anti-post bet I had for Saratoga was actually probably the best winner I had all week. Madara was a good winner. I went very high in Lossy Mouth, and then Jinkle Blue on the Wednesday. So from kind of Wednesday onwards, it did go a bit, but as you say, I kind of kept myself a bit in front and couldn't really lose after Jinkle Blue. So it turned into a good week. Felt a good week atmosphere wise in terms of like reports coming out of Cheltenham suggest that the kind of customer experience was a lot better. It did look like that on the telly, and kind of speaking to people that were there, it did seem as if it's been better than it has been in recent years.
Yeah, it seemed to be there was a few bits of negativity around, but you're going to get that. I mean, it's Cheltenham Festival with like over 200,000 net that are going.
Mhm.
People are going to have bad experiences, people are going to have good experiences, but it seemed to be better than last year in general. Final atmosphere, the schedule, I don't think it really works for me,
Nah,
but
for me either.
we'll see. But I mean, we'll see how it goes out. See, the unlikely to tweak things coming down the line might be Wednesday, Saturday in the future, but I mean, it's not going to be for next year. So yeah, and you've got to be quite quick to book up again for next year for those that want to go. But I think they could kind of split it up a bit better in terms of sections that you can kind of go here and there. But
Mm.
it seemed to go reasonably well. I think they kind of needed an uplift from last year, and I think they probably got it.
Right. Well, there was one big negative that kind of caught a lot of people's attention, and it's something we've spoke about since we've started doing the show. The starts, they were they were a mess, and there's been, I think, every single horse race in mind has had an idea on how to fix them. I've got my thoughts, but where do you kind of stand on it? How do we sort this?
You need to firstly, rebuild the relationship between starter and jockey. Irish authorities and British authorities need to work much closer together because there seems to be just a total breakdown of what's right and what's not right at the start. And there's just too many nonsense 2.5 mile races that are in a bend that affect the start. The worst ones of the week were generally 2.5 mile
Yeah.
starts. So that's not a coincidence. So you move the bend. I do think that you need to get rid of that. If you've got a flexible rail, at least just rip it out, put it back in when they come back round once. I think that might be a solution. Um, but the thing is, though, I mean, positioning in jump racing now is at such a premium that if you're not at the front, you're unlikely to win.
Hmm.
The jockeyship is, they'll want to be roughly on the speed or on the speed and slow it down at some point, get a breather in and dictate the race. Well, there's not a lot that want to be dropped in anyway or held back. Slow horses don't win anymore because of the whip rules. There's no encouragement for them to get there, so you can't chivvy away at one and try and get it to run on. If
Mm.
it's disinterested out the back, it's going to stay disinterested out the back. I think that's why Sean Bone's basically champion jockey. He's about the only one planet that can get them riding without kind of resorting to that level of assistance that used to be there that's not. So you need a lot of strength to do that. That nobody wants to be at the back because, particularly the old course now, it's a front runner's paradise. It's like watching Goodwood at times, where there's sometimes with the concertina and inside. But if they don't get off, the start allows the ones on the outside big fields to kind of canter in a little bit quicker than the ones on the inside. But if they come in too fast, the ones on the inside are absolutely squeezed out of it and are backed out of it. If they come in too slow, the ones on the outside can never really get into it. And the standing starts, I think, is probably something that has to go because that does make it a complete lottery because you don't know when. You
You're
don't know how
also
the
putting the
horse.
horse's safety at massive risk because
Yeah, well, you don't know if it's going to go away or not. Or it could whip round at the tape. So, and the tape's probably kind of prehistoric in comparison to what
what do you think of
time.
the rolling tape thing?
I mean, I don't care about that really. Yeah.
The
I
big
mean,
thing I've got is that again the Ben thing's a nonsense. Like it is something that shouldn't be happening in the standing start. I think what I've always kind of thought is that you're told by a horse to always have it moving, don't have it standing still. But he's bringing them to post, or the starters are bringing them to post way
early
too early,
and too
way
far
too early,
back.
too far back. Yeah,
This was talked about last season quite a lot, and nothing was done. So there has to be some sort of kind of leeway for the starter, leeway for the jockeys, or some sort of collective understanding here. Because at the moment there isn't, and it's getting. I thought last year's was worse in terms of the number of how bad the restarts were. This year there was too many of them,
yeah.
and a lot were quite hampered. The Turners was farcical. Wednesday, Thursday, I thought was quite farcical. But
Turners, the Mayor's Novice, because there was one of the Mayor's Novice, I think it was Carrickborn or Spruce. I had,
The
yeah,
Jack Richards
Jack Richards as well.
as well.
Just there's so
Um,
many 2.5 miles,
I
as you
mean,
say.
you could list through them. Most of them were 2.5, I think. But I thought Friday was a little bit better because I think everyone was so fed up with it. Everyone started to
The
comply a
Martin,
little
the
bit better.
Martin Pipe was a joke. I text you during the Martin Pipe. That's a shambles. Literally 10 yards for the first hurdle. Like that shouldn't be happening. Again, 2.5 miles.
I don't think anyone was caring by that point, really. It's just, let's go home. But no, there needs to be something tangible that comes out of this investigation at the end of it. I think that's the important thing. What is it realistic to think that there's a perfect solution from this? Probably not. It's competitive. You get 20 plus runner fields quite often. That's what we want. We want to see that, but that's what you're going to get at the start. You're going to get less room. You're not going to get your ideal space, and that's really the problem.
Yeah, well, what we're going to do is we are going to talk about each of the 4 days. We'll talk about all the kind of big races, and then like, at the end of each day, talk about the kind of handicaps and things like that. But we'll start. We got off to a flyer in the Supreme Will Part Star. It was a really good race for the Brits. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sober Glory second. My Daddy Paddy third. Irish form didn't really fire. Callum, all part star. And again, the top three, you can take the top three as really exciting prospects for next season, particularly over fences if that's where they go.
Yeah, the messy start was a bit of a messy finish, that one. Part Star won it well enough, well on top of the line. Yeah, and I had to kind of show something different a little bit. He said it had a lot easy time of it with these kind of two bloodless wins, but he had to dig deep there, and he did. He just outstayed them up the hill, really. Sober Glory hit the last, could have held on without that mistake. I was quite impressed with the way he picked up. He didn't lose much momentum. Useful running and well from the front. My Daddy Paddy comes there, goes for a gap that I don't think was really ever there. But again, he comes there travelling. I wouldn't trust him to finish, to be honest. I don't think he would have won it anyway to a clear run, personally. I think he's a bit soft up the hill. So, while he's the slickest jumper of them all and gets there and travels nicely, and that see connections are they were mutant fences, but I think sensibly they might stay over hurdles because I think a truly run Cheltenham hurdle would kind of suit him. But it's whether he can get down dirty and finish races off. I'm not convinced he will. But no, the winner's good. Thought he was the best horse in the race. I think he just about proved it.
Copet de Board and Lalamba were the two horses going into it. Neither of them won. It was obviously won by Kyrgyz. It was a very good ride from Danny. A lot of good riding at the festival. I thought Danny Mullins was pretty good here. Kyrgyz obviously won. Would Kopek have won if he didn't peck at the last?
Not so sure. Not so sure. He's all travelling all over them, but with the hill to come up, I don't think that's a significant enough error to lose a race, really. I think he was probably going to blow up anyway up the hill, but Kyrgyz battled on really well. He was scrapped in the inside, stayed on well. She did that at the DRF to her testament, which somehow she kind of came out and backed up, really. So she really is a hardy mare, and with £7 allowance, may have just seen it out anyway. It would be close. But I don't think Kopek the Board was going to just pick up and go whoosh.
Made a couple
Lalamba's
of
kind of
mistakes at the start.
boxing on. Well, that was the thing, and he lost at the start. Lalamba lost it
Up and
towards the
trip
end part of the
Lalamba,
race.
just no brainer.
Yeah, you have to go up and trip to that. I thought he would have been experienced and good enough to get away with it. He just didn't because mainly because of Kyrgyz. But I mean, the male did everything right. It was the most professional, the most forward, rightfully won on the day. I don't think there's many complaints.
Champion Hurdle, Lossiemouth won her fourth event at the festival, obviously unbeaten at Cheltenham, but a sensational performance, I think, from the horse to win here. She beat Brighter Days Ahead in the New Line. Callum, she was just the best horse in the race, and I think she's kind of now in the kind of mix of the kind of great mares just by going here and winning.
Yeah, up there, maybe kind of probably marginally better than Epitone, but I mean, and then maybe behind Honeysuckle a little bit. But yeah, definitely in the conversation now. She's got a Champion Hurdle. Her tilt record's unbelievable, and I thought that was probably a career best.
Yeah, I think it
Again,
was.
I think she can kind of improve a bit more. Maybe not showing her hand entirely because she's not really had a great deal to beat. Maybe didn't have a great deal to beat here. She's just more effective around Cheltenham and Brighter Days Ahead. The quicker ground suited her better. And yeah, she just had more class, much more class than the rest of the field. New Line ran okay in third. Just not quick enough, as kind of predicted, really. Would you try another year with them at this? You could. But you'd maybe think that Aintree 2.5 would suit him better and with a view to kind of maybe going up rather than down trip in the future. But Brighter Days Ahead ran quite well in second. That was fending off the New Line for third. Thought she kind of proved that she can act around Cheltenham a little bit.
Do you think the new course would suit her more?
Well, I think they're going over fences next season for sure. Just think she won't beat Lossiemouth
No, I
around
don't think so.
Cheltenham. That's the thing, because I think she's not wildly below her best at Cheltenham, but she is £5-7 below what she does at Leopardstown, and it's vice versa. It flips with Lossiemouth. Lossiemouth's not as good as Leopardstown. And it just seems to be the track. It seems to be the time of year, and ground as well. Was the drying ground is probably going against Brighter Days Ahead a little bit, but she ran a race, and yeah, I mean Lossiemouth beat the right two really in behind the market. It was a once he definitely pointed her here, the writing was on the wall. To be honest.
Yeah, I think she went off really, really short. I think she was about 75. I think she went off, but
Yeah, it was
she was
15 to 8 in the morning. That was
very hot, and during the day, and obviously won. And again, really good week for the Richies, as we'll get into later on. Other races in day one, we saw Saratoga win the Fred Winter, Johnny Who winning the Ultima. Holloway Queen won the National Hunt Chase, and Madara landed the gamble in the plate. And we'll kind of what kind of impression and the other races in day one? We'll probably imagine Madara would have been the big one for you.
Yeah, that was winning anywhere. I mean, you could have any joke start that with a win at the back. Get a £10 hike, and that just had a stone in hand, and Skelton had a hurdle equivalent later in the week. So, but I mean, it was targeted in the weakest race, the handicap, and so was Supremely West to a degree. I mean, that's what it was like. So, no, Madara jumped beautifully, jumped well, and you think that can maybe progress in a similar vein to like Thistle Ask or something. You just know it kind of. You just knew it turns in hand, and latching onto that early makes it makes it all worthwhile, really. So yeah, that was good. Saratoga was impressive. Matt Walsh picks correct again and again. It's like a lot of these Boodles winners, they're found long term in the anti-post market. They drift in the day, and people get cold feet about it. I mean, that was unfortunately one that I didn't back, but I mean, it was chucked in really. I mean,
Yeah.
it was Brazil like for the Roaches, so couldn't argue with that. The Holloway Queen, it's all right. Surprised it handled the
That the
ground.
start did the favourite there. Back me a Satmy was beat like as soon as the tape went up. He was way too far back.
Yeah, I haven't really the courage to watch him back from the start. Yeah, to the finish. Yeah, I mean, he's never really in a rhythm either. And tailed off. Iceberg Theory ran all right in fourth.
Yeah.
Johnny Who was a good result in Ultima.
Hmm.
Got to say, I think he was as well handicapped as the other two GP McManus horses at the top of the market.
I think Jaguar could race me and you and find a way to get beat.
Well, he hits every fence. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not, and he just whacks into one and stays on too late, and he shapes like that all the time. You can see him do that in the Grand National. I don't understand why he goes off this short all the time.
Mm.
He's a bookie's horse
Yeah.
all day long.
Breeze was ridiculous. Leave of
Thing
absence.
is,
Places were good. Like Iceberg Theory was a good place as well. The places in the Tuesday that got me kind of above as well. So the places were good.
yeah, I mean, Johnny Who with the
Yeah.
GPs and John O'Neill likes that race. It's targeted by Monbeg Genius and things like that. So I mean, he won it with Holywell. So I did quite like that. And when I saw the wind up that before him again, but another SP that went out, and he went off 18-1. So
Yeah.
it's a really good result. But yeah, Highland nicked a place as well. Place away was unlucky in seventh. He just didn't quite get there in the anti-post. But, he was just one outside it. So it was a very good opening day.
We'll go on to Wednesday. We'll start with the Turners and an 11-1 winner for Willie Mullins and Paul Townend in this race. King Rascal Grey beat Active Innocence. Quite a few horses, obviously, in the run-in. With obviously the incident in this race with Nico de Boinville and Declan Quealy. I wanted to get your thoughts on that because I don't think. Do you remember the handshake a few years ago? It was Trump and another leader. I think it was a Japanese leader, and you could tell it was for the cameras, and there was nothing behind the eyes at all. That's what this was to me. It's
Yeah,
not going to go away, though, is it? It's not the handshake's not going to go away. It's not going to make things go away because it's
no,
I think
no,
it's
because
privacy.
once the formal complaint's been filed, then there's a duty to
Yeah,
investigate and carry out. So yeah, no, it'll still be looked at. That's for sure. Yeah, it was done. We kind of it superficially drew the line on it. I think just to get it out of the way and get on with the rest of the racing, really. But yeah, you've got to kind of wait and see because I mean, I think by all accounts, it seems that De Boinville's coming out far second best over this, but the winner, King Rascal Green, this maybe was the best horse in the race. And I mean, it's one I was all over in the week in the build up as well. I mean, I was I mean, Willie Mullen said he expected to go 5-2, but I thought it'd go 41. I thought it'd go off favourite, second favourite. He was the one, the DRF, that just shaped up extremely well.
do you think it was because I talked the talk, like that he went
I
off?
think I think there was too much. I think too much was made of the Supreme Novices run. I think all the Irish horses have disappointed, but Talk to Talk wouldn't have liked that ground.
Mm.
Bad ground. Coming back in quick ground after a big effort like that, that's hard to back up. So I wouldn't write him off after that either. Um, so I think too much was made of it. And King Rascal Grey was one that A wasn't fit the DRS, still ran a massive race and travelled into it like the best horse as well, going to win. He took a massive drift as well in the market that day. Paul Townend has still picked him here. He's made a step forward and he's won this pretty comfortably from a good horse and Active Innocence in second. And they were by far the two best in the race. So, yeah, the start didn't help, no drama this end for sure. Out the back, and everything went wrong, but I don't think he was good enough anyway, really. And he was backed into
It was ridiculously short, yeah.
ridiculously short. So, and connections afterwards admitted that they should have went Albert Bartlett on the count of the weather. So, again, because of all what happened, he's another kind of talented sort that you wouldn't write off in the back of that run. Everything just went wrong from the day.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly when you're stuck in that inside, you're just not going to get clear run. And
No.
there's 20 odd horses in your way. So, but Miller's very good. Mullins came out with the usual kind of chatter about one of his Smart Turner's horse is signed. Oh, he might be a champion other horse.
Yeah,
I'd like,
we'll see.
I'd like to see him over a fence
I think
sooner
a
than
chaser,
later.
yeah. Yeah, Sortudo, like a lot of the horses I picked over the week, got to the second last, thinking, oh, they've got a chance of doing well here. Then just went out like a light. Would forgive pretty much everything in here because looking at the kind of places like Zeus Power, Soldier Reeves, some of the prices they went off, like you can tell there's a few here that maybe the conditions didn't suit. I thought actually like a few like Sortudo, even Sober jumped poorly, but you can tell there's talent there. Sky like Hustle Fell.
Sober hated the kind of being out the back as well when those ran at
Yeah,
the sound, and he was very flustered, and that's the thing with novices as well. Like Thursday start the Mares novices, that if you're going to the first race of the day as well, if you're going to get constantly restart that's why a lot of people say just let them go anyway, because if you would restart them, then they're just going to get more wound up and less, more likely than not, even more of them are going to not run their race as a result because they're just far too keen and fresh and getting wound up at the start. So Arturo ran all right. He was just forced far too wide and then understandably backed out of it.
yeah. We'll go to the Brown Advisory. Willie Mullins and Harry Cobden won with Kit's Bull. Beat Final Demand. I text you immediately saying I thought Final Demand was soft, but I've watched the race back, and I think I maybe was a bit harsh on him. I think the winner was always going to win, and it was a really good ride from Harry Cobden. But I think Final Demand. First thought I had was kind of watching it back was Facile Vega. He's went up after a disappointing run, and you could see him building on. It's just is he good enough to go into open company and be the force we thought he was? But I think the winner deserves a lot of respect here.
Fast of Vegas certainly didn't back it up. I thought he ran well, but never looked like winning. It's coming back from that, then it's definitely a step forward. But off the bridle, he doesn't impress me. See, again, Kitzbühel really good, and I think he just handled the ground better.
Yeah,
But the run of it dictated. I was a bit worried about the track for him, but he got in a lovely rhythm up front and never going to get caught. And like a lot of these races, if you're up there and you're jumping well, you're going to be very hard to beat if you're a very good classy Willie Mullins trained horse, like he was. And he won the Cato Star, so he's capable of that. He was there in the figures anyway, and maybe a bit down the pecking order. And I think the track fear kind of put a lot of people off, myself included. But he's ran really well. Fended off Final Demand, he's boxed on to a degree up the hill. He's still going to go and win races. I think. I mean, you could see him turning up at Punchestown and annihilating the field.
mm.
I think that would really suit him. I think that's kind of his kind of speed favouring kind of nature, flat track. I just think when down dirty up the hill a little bit, he's just been marginally
I
outpointed. But
think the winner would. I think the winner would be the horse I'd back for a Gold Cup before Final Demand. Like if they win Gold Cup, I think
I
again
think
going in the open company.
the one that fell, Cade Dothie, probably more of a Gold Cup
What
horse.
did you make of Romeo Coolio? Because when he went 9-4, I was like, I'm gonna lay him all day, and I actually did quite well with a few kind of place lays, and this was one of them. I just thought this was entirely the wrong idea.
The trainer didn't want to go, did he?
Yeah,
That says it all. I think he would have ran equally as bad in the Arkle.
and yeah, it's the sort of performance that he might never recover from. It might be too early to say that, but just immediately it was just you could tell watching it. Yeah, it's not a good
Yeah,
showing.
I think it probably leaves his season over, but I think
Mm.
he'll definitely come back from it. Company. I think he's still a very good horse. But yeah, I think he's just going to try and work back from a more long term target like the Ryanair or something like that. I think he probably spaces races out. But he's had a lot of racing at the start of the season. And it was just going to catch up with him on the way and going up and trip even on drying ground. It might have been the right race pick for him in the week, but it was always going to be a hard ask when you've had so many hard races at the start of the season and you're going into maybe probably even a tougher, more competitive environment. The field sizes, for instance, a big difference as well. It's just a completely different environment. Spring horses, fresher horses that are improving against you a little bit. It's going to be a lot tougher. And that's what it was from. And the trainer was not keen to go to Cheltenham in the first place, which suggested that he needed more time or a different target or exactly 2.5 miles. And yeah, they rolled the dice. Credit to them, but I just think people just pointed him at a favourite because that's the best form or the most well known kind of thing. Yeah, but he was definitely too short. And yeah, once once trainers kind of deviate from an original plan, it's a cause for concern.
Right, Queen Mother Champion Chase. The curse of the Queen Mother Champion Chase strikes again. Majborough went off 5-6, and it's not. We've seen Majborough do this before, but I think there was more. I think he went too fast. I think even if he jumped perfectly, I think he would have run out of gas.
Nah, he just hates the place, doesn't he? He hates the old course.
Probably.
We went too fast, yeah, because Colexios was there, but you have to. He's the favourite, so somebody's going to apply pressure to you. But you jump fine alongside. It's just once the mistake happened,
Yeah.
it all goes to pot, and it happened, and yeah, I mean, talking about it all season, really, you can just see it fall apart quite quickly. He's either gonna do what he did at Leopardstown, not miss a beat, and be really really impressive, or he's gonna hit one around here and it's all gonna fall apart. The thing is, like likes of Cork and Leopardstown, you can hit one. You can still have there's recovery time there that you can kind of still run your race. Here there just isn't, and he was badly found out over drying ground, 2 miles in old course, twisty turny, pace pressure, jumping. The cheap piece is probably not having as much of an effect as it does first time than second time. I think you can see them probably coming on off with him in his career. Um, the thing that annoyed me the most was that I backed him because it was a trap.
Yeah, I know it was a
I feel like
trap.
like I would like Bar and Star Wars and it's a trap, and they still ploughed straight into it because he went out even money. And I think a lot of people did because he didn't really see a viable alternative, and it was Elliot Tom. And again, I wasn't as negative as on his chances as a lot of people were because he saw Willie Mullins do Energamine when he came back from like a pretty dispiriting defeat. He's a trainer. Time at King Glasgow Great. He's a trainer that come back and Kitzbühel as well. The same thing. Sandown hit the deck. They come back and win at the top level.
And what I thought was interesting was, and again, there was a few times this week where Paul Townend's riding was questionable, but this one in particular,
Yeah, set off
he knew
basically.
exactly what was happening.
Yeah,
He was like, right,
that's the thing, as well. I mean, there's a difference between wanting to go in front, but for horses to come from the back, you still can win if there's a pace collapse up top. And there was here. You see how Tad Quixos finished. He did shape pretty well. But yeah, there had to be one. I thought it'd be Irish Panther that maybe would maybe have put kind of pace pressure on him, but it was Quixos decided to do it, and somebody had to do it really because you cannot give a horse like that scope to kind of have a massive lead. But it worked out for Elliot Tom in the end, confirmed himself as a really smart sort. Um, and he is usually consistent. And his one bad day comes before the champion chase, and Energamine used to do that. So I mean, in particular when you're flying along, that was the first real serious misstep of the week that in the punt of the week that I thought, right, I'm going to rein that in here because you really should have known better, to be honest.
yeah, it was the one favourite. I thought I said surely he's going to.
Lloyd the Stud ran all right. He maybe got to the front too soon, drying
Yeah,
ground. I just don't think he's of that class.
no, I don't think he is either. I think Elliot Tom has a seriously good horse. And the final grade one on Wednesday, champion bumper was won by the Mourne Rambler, Colin Keane becoming the first jockey in the flat since Jamie Spencer, I think, 2007. Really good showing again, no Meadwell winner. Mullins' horses didn't fire in this, but might give you a wee bit of concern for the novice hurdlers next season, but we know that he can still win because he did last year. Thought the winner was good here and by far the best horse.
Yeah, on that ground, it's very much like a dream to share year, where it did Colin Keane on board, where it felt like a flat race rather than a kind of traditional bumper. Quirin was the best of Mullins' lot. Just didn't
I
quite
thought
get
he was. I thought he
places.
was good. Would you go back to the flat with him? I know he did problems with the stalls, but he looks up. He looks like he's got the
Stalled.
pace.
Yeah, kind of pacey, kind of French type. But yeah, you'd have to try the Stalls thing. I mean, they wouldn't go this route, would they? If they bothered,
No,
yeah, I think he'd probably have a hurdle technique. I think he was inconvenienced by the false start in that a little bit because he was both the 4-year-olds. I think Earl Trigger as well. I think that kind of lit them up a bit. The false start more than others, but he was in the right position. He was a bit too keen, didn't get home. Love signed in is just another kind of Copacabana, isn't he? Really, he just
probably.
needed far softer ground to be seen to more effect, and back that diamond door each way, and he finished fifth, which is one outside the places at 50s, which annoyed me. But I mean, he had a lot go wrong. He would have went quite close with a clear run. So yeah, I mean, I think it looked ornery, a bit like last year. I think in terms of form wise, it looked ornery enough, but invariably it kind of
But winners come from
turns
it
out
every year.
well. I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be surprised if I mean, Love Sign was what, like 50-1 for Tunnels. You wouldn't be surprised if they pointed him that way, and he was, he was kind of like 10-12 to 1 kind of material, really.
Other races on day two, we saw Jinko Blue winning the BetMGM Cup. Maritor winning the Grand Annual, beating Jazzy Matty. It was a bit of a sickener for me. And Final Orders winning the cross country. What was the highlights of day two?
Oh, the cross country, the winner, final orders. It's just a ground race.
It was, yeah.
I mean, quicker ground, reverse the form if I've already jumped. You kind of almost bolted at the start as well. The second ran quite well, probably to keep up, but yeah, Gigginstown were like 0 for 27 through the week.
Yeah.
It's quite something. So that was probably their best chance as well. Jinko Blue well punted, well handicapped. He's tricky to keep sound, but he's very good when right. And against did a good job to execute that and went off favourite. Storm Heartless is sheer unlucky in third. He boxed on quite well. I think he was kind of a bit too far back from the start there as well. Jinko Blue again, though, up front, just dictated matters, and
Yeah.
it wasn't much of a race in
Never
behind.
looked in doubt. Like I was
No,
confident
again,
all the way through.
and I think if you kind of think a competitive handicap like that's over, kind of coming down for home, it's quite something.
The first year
Yeah,
I ever backed the winner of the Coral Cup. Ever.
I usually do all right. Damn the company long term was one of my best anti-post bets ever. I just backed the wrong Henderson horse in it, Iberico Lord. Never really get into it.
Hmm.
Just midfield shuffle back. Misstep, Kopech to me as well. It was the same, too far back. Can't get into it. So I mean, that's the thing. Martador, seen off Jazzy Matty, though, one of those that went over the limit, though. So I mean, you'd be a bit saying, but I mean, Jazzy Matty won it last year, and he was a horse that went over the limit that year. So swings and roundabouts.
Thursday, we moved to the new course, and the Mayor's Novice was won by White Noise, winner for Kim Bailey. Great to see him him and Matt Nichols get a winner. Old School Outlaw was second. Bambino Fever, I thought was just not shafted by the start, but I don't think the jockey really thought he'd any chance in it. I think he kind of a lot of the time he was out the back and the outside, and I was like, why are you there for a lot of his rides during the week?
Yeah, I didn't see much excuse with her, to be honest. I mean, I think she almost get kicked at the start, and I think that kind of
Yeah,
unnerved her more than anything. And she got there quite early. I know she was too far outside, but she got the first early and ballooned it. I think that kind of just unsettled her, and I think that's how she kind of lost her chance, rather than kind of the actual start itself. It was kind of the nature of it, And the young mares novices, they're going to be unsettled. They're getting unsettled, and if you're going to restart them all the time and come back in, something's just going to boil over. She almost got kicked. She jumped the first as if she had been kind of spooked by that a little bit, and then never get into a rhythm, get
Carrick
out of it.
Bonner Spruce was the same. She jumped to second really badly, as if she had been kind of
Yeah,
spooked.
never. She was definitely way out the back, wasn't she?
Yeah, full of life,
Again,
got to the second last, and he thought, maybe a place, and then she kind of fell out the back as well. But Old
yeah,
School Outlaw was the one I took. I think she could be going up and trip, could be a really good player next year.
yeah, and the softer ground as well might have helped her.
Yeah,
She had the form about, she was really weak in the markets going out to 15-2. Maybe it was kind of down to Gordon Elliott's form not really being too red hot, but I don't think there was a lot of kind of bona fide winning chances that he had.
no.
So some of them were running well, some of them weren't, without winning. So one of those things. Yeah, it was a seriously messy race, and echoing silence was kind of a bit affected at the start. Could never quite get into it. La Conquier was affected by the start as well, right out the back.
The two of the bend were absolutely like shafted. Actually, Blue Velvet ran a miracle to finish
Mhm.
11th. Like,
Yeah, and a lot of these like bit like the tunnels as well. I mean, a lot of these are going to come back, Aintree Pointers Down, maybe run a truer race and
Mhm.
have more of a handle of it. I think that's why you're kind of probably disinclined to have a bet off the back of Cheltenham 2026 or 2027 straight away, rather than maybe wait till the jump season to kind of see it kind of a truer kind of picture. The fair starts, but the winner on the day did it well on most uncomplicated sort and very professional and stuck it out. And they were confident they'd reverse the form with the runner up from the last day. So yeah, 40-1. I don't think she was on many people's radar, certainly not in mine. But yeah, it's a race though that continues to deliver that kind of result, though maybe
Yeah,
not to that degree, but it is a race that favourites can struggle in, and the lay of the week came in that regard. You
uh,
cannot have. I don't care how good you are. A 20 odd runner mares novices hurdle. You've got no right to go off even money.
no, absolutely not. We'll go on to the Jack Richards. It was won by Ben Pauling, and it was Meet Me by the Sea for Ben Jones and JP. Lot of kind of promising ones. Kiswell actually ran into fifth. Did you get a place on that?
No,
No.
four.
Okay. King Alexander was fourth. Regent Stroll was third. He was a bit kind of shafted at the start as well. I thought the winner did this well, and I think the better ground probably suited.
Yeah, and again one that is drifted on the day, but this well fancied long term. Definitely up there until the market and going out to eights. A lot of people wouldn't believe it. The start again, it's just ridiculous. You had to be handy, and he was, and a lot of them in the back had no chance again. Guess we'll ran all right. Did get a place on the day to cover the anti-post bet, so we didn't make a loss out of it. Just belted the six last, and it shoved him back at a key point and could never really get back into it. But he ran okay in fifth, and he probably wants a little bit further. The winner was good. Was the best handicapped horse in the race. Well mapped out by a very good trainer who wasn't having a good week until then. I think that's why the drift was, but he was the best handicapped. Stencil was badly affected by the start. It was a late money for him. I think he's more of an entry type. I think he's
Yeah.
he's he's a type that'll come out quite well going into entry. I think. Yeah, and a couple others ran quite. Regent Stroll ran quite well in behind. Been a bit fresh on the outer, maybe not quite getting his way of things. Again, I think he's another one that could probably step forward at going into entry. It's a good, strong handicap race. The Irish just can't quite get into it. The second ran quite well, but the handicappers kind of, I mean, that the British handicap, Britain kind of will get close to the Pressbury Cup. It's 15-13, I think, mainly because of the state of affairs
You
handicapping.
mentioned about the starts though. The British and Irish need to come together. The Irish tax is getting a bit ridiculous now. Like it is. Like
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous for some. I mean, understand if you think there's a blot and it's a top anti-post market, then I can understand the tax. Like Saratoga is understandably taxed, but it was just kind of the sweeping generalisation of it. We'll give everything £3 to £5, really. I think that's kind of got to stop. I think the handicapper's got to kind of look at all the individual cases rather than it's just far too widespread and too much of a blanket thing. I mean, you're giving horses that that you kind of know in Ireland that look pretty exposed to me hikes for the sake of it, which if you threaten to do that, then it might not come at all. And in the degree they kind of make the festival, they still kind of more than 50% of your runners at the end of the day. So I mean, yeah, I think you've got to be a little bit fairer, and also I think you've got to identify the British blots as well. I mean, Supremely West, Madara, Beat Me by the Sea to a degree, Jinko Blue, not really adversely handicapped in relation. So he's kind of doing one thing one way and then not doing the other thing the other way, which is a little bit unfair as well.
Gordon Elliott's only winner was Voodoo, and she is just a gutsy horse, and she did this very well here. Again, she never looked in doubt. It felt as if any time Jade de Gruge was going to get close, she just would pull away, and I think she's a very, very good horse.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I thought G Degrees was just a little bit rusty early on, come back from fences, aiding a few, and that kind of cost her track position and cost of the race really. Wood, who was very tough, quite dominant. I think she just readily pulled out more when need to be. Really looks impressive, but I think that kind of just masks her kind of real quality that she has. Just a very, very good performance. And yeah, I think she's kind of. I think that's definitely a race, particularly when it's in the new course. It really kind of suits her. Very uncomplicated, does everything kind of right. Bit tight into the second last, but it was inconsequential. And when something comes to meet her, she usually finds more, and that's what she did there up the hill. That form could be turned round at Punchestown.
Possibly could. Stairs hurdle, the fifth time of asking home by the Lee wins. I think if you'd given any jockey a chance to redo the ride, it'd probably be Paul Townend and Ballyburn.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of how Tihubu lost his first one when they all kind of crash into each other in behind, and the steer out front just kind of stays there, and everyone else gets in each other's way. Yeah, Irish form to the fore, even if it's exposed and home by the lead. It's been a standing dish in this, and did go off kind of like 13-2 in a couple of these. The last 2 years. Um, Came out, sought out well, seen it out the best, didn't go slow, didn't go that quick early on, mid part of the race, which caught T Hoop out position wise and to kind of box on. And I think he was kind of almost equally as hampered as Ballyburn was. Tried to kind of sneak down there, there was no room and had to switch. And I wouldn't have been convinced that he would have won anyway, to be honest.
And I thought, yeah,
He was kind of
possibly
broadside
not.
a little bit, but he does this, he does do this. He can be a tricky customer, and a lot of people are kind of putting out 8-9 to 1 for Stairs Huddle next year as a better year. I don't see it again. I think you might find ways to get beat again. But
Cabral Matan didn't stay.
no, I didn't stay up the hill. Travelled the best all over them, but yeah, I didn't get up the hill, which
Talk
was
about an Arkle.
a very good horse. But he's you're going right back down to two a little bit, and I'm not so sure. He's a horse that's never fully convinced me at the top level, and that's the first time he's kind of really gone up to that level and really an open stairs. And yeah, he's travelled into it the best in their last, but he's emptied rapidly as if he's. Honestly, I mean, it's so rapidly that Harry Skellin thought there might be more to it than just not staying. But
Impulse 12 was never travelling either.
yeah, he maybe kind of left it behind last year and one race too many. Mashan 2 was never in it, but the British form was not good enough in all things. And I think Tihubu, that Thursday was the day that was very fast. Factfell didn't run, obviously, in the Ryanair, which we'll get to, but I think it was probably the day where the clerk of the course maybe slightly misbehaved a little bit because there was no soft in that ground at all. It was good ground all round. And that was maybe a shade quick, well, watered good at Leopardstown, Punchestown. I think he can get away with, but I don't think he could there. I think he was kind of just struggling, and Jack Kennedy gave a very kind of good summation of what happened to him. So with all these old boys kind of coming back, and him being kind of like always kind of like 9-2, 6-1 top of the market, I think him at like 14-16 is worth another chance rather than kind of Ballyburn's at 8 and 9s. Honestly, policy ran well to a point, but maybe a little bit too inexperienced for it.
Ryanair Chase, we'll start with Fact if I obviously didn't run. Willie Mullins and JP McManus. JP in particular gave a kind of assessment that you don't really hear very often. One thing that has been weirdly kind of quoted that I don't think was meant the way it was quoted was Willie Mullins saying if it was the ground, we just won't bring them. I don't think he's meaning all his horses. I think he's meaning more the likes of Fact to File, who we know acts better in soft ground. That's what I
Yeah, I
take
mean,
from that.
the problem was there was no follow up question to actually clarify what he meant there.
Yeah,
Because I just thought it was a thinly veiled threat to kind of going into tomorrow
that's what I
and
thought as
saying,
well. Yeah.
I don't want this ground. But GP McManus went into specifics saying it was far quicker than ideal at the top of the hill. He was a bit worried about Bambino fever about it in the build up, and she ran kind of a little bit accordingly. But still took his chance with him. But I think the fact the file did disappoint on good ground at Kempton means that yeah, you can kind of pull out kind of your best horse that if there is a ground fear. But the whole kind of thing is that the stress and even the flat as well is like there's a difference between unsafe ground and unsuitable ground, a marked difference.
Mm-hmm.
And this was unsuitable, not unsafe.
Hartwood obviously got a winner for Henry de Bromhead. I will take the blame for Imperi Pass because I did text you saying that I thought he was a
No, I
nailed
was
on
worried.
30. Yeah.
I was actually worried with it. And I put it up. It was put up at the start of the season, so I thought it's me Ryan if it's the plan, but it was never the plan. And then he kind of shoehorned him into it. And then you were one of many texting me going, "This is," and I kind of knew it wouldn't. And I just knew, deviating from like Romeo Coolio, you deviate from a long term plan in front of a Cheltenham
Yeah.
Festival race, it's not going to work out for you.
John Bond boxed on it for a second, but the
And that
winner
wasn't
did
the
this
plan
very
for
well.
John Bon
No,
either.
it wasn't.
And the one that was mapped out long term for it wins easily.
Yeah.
That's the lesson there. The Hartwood ran really well. No fact to file in it. Come back. Looks maybe slightly improved, but he's still a 160s horse, and that's a figure needed to run to on the day to win because it was an afterthought for everyone else. Everyone else
Banbridge,
could win it anyway.
Banbridge, I saw the gamble to a degree, but I don't think he's I don't know he's wanted Cheltenham.
Again, though, wasn't the plan.
Nah.
Was
No.
not the spring target.
No.
The spring target. Aintree was the target. And that's a worry for Perry Pass is that that the back waiting rides are going to be no use as well there. So I mean, in drying ground probably against him. Big effort in Gowran might have jarred him up a bit. It looked like it did, and he's getting backed out of it. And the turnarounds again, something Will Mullins usually doesn't do. Did it with Maj, but it didn't work. You just kind of really kind of gave into temptation there. While kind of Postbook's glad to see get a 20-1 shot that's gone off at 5-2.
Mhm.
You'd certainly rather have a run for your money than not. But yeah, I was the concerns were there in the build up for me. I covered the wrong one with Banbridge instead of Hartwood. And that was another Masbury-esque punting lesson for the week.
Yeah. Other races on Thursday, Supremely West. I got totally wrong. I told everybody back says different. Who ran quite well, but just again, just
Yard
hit a
form wasn't good.
yard form was off. Supremely West, obviously another skeleton plot, and in the Kim Muir asked Brewster for Mrs. Williams, who beat Road to Home. Willie Mullins' hunt for a handicap chase goes on.
Yeah, zero for 70 odd now. I
Something
think at
like that,
least
yeah.
zero for 72 or 74 coming into it anyway. So he
Did you back
wins the week.
Supremely West?
No, too short. No, no,
Yeah.
no. If you miss a boat, you miss a boat on it. I mean, and I think there was more doubts about him than Madara coming into it a little bit. I think there's maybe a bit more hidden. Um, yeah, but there was market confidence, and I think at that stage there was no need for me to kind of really wade in at all. At that point, I was kind of like protecting things, so I'm not going to go chasing a kind of 7-2 shot in a 20 hour handicap to kind of just make myself feel a little bit better on the day. Just kind of pull up the drawbridge, and that's fine. Being in front of the week, but yeah, he's done it reasonably well. Not as easy as Madara did, but he did it all right. Again, I think what kind of helped him look well in was the race was so bad.
It was poor, yeah.
Simply, the Irish are handicapped out of it. They don't even bother qualifying anymore, really, a lot of them. Um, and then you've got like exposed horses like Ikarak boxing on for third, who I saw at Ayr that on the 2nd of January, thinking he's quite a decent horse, but he's no way a kind of Pertemps player, and he ran quite well in third, so he boxed on quite well to be third at 40. So that's the nature of the race, really, where you've got kind of even reasonably exposed low to mid 130s horse placing. So Supremely West did it fine. It was a bit doubt he'd come back and trip. He kind of shaped a little bit disconcertingly sometimes, but obviously it's not been off really since qualifying, and he's got the old kind of old fashioned profile of winning it. So yeah, it was just a kind of price thing for him on the day. And Asprester won it well and lucky last. Thought he was going to come and get beat, but just a kind of classier, more kind of hardened horse at that level's come and found more against the Mullins horse. So yeah, I mean that was about it, wasn't it? Really?
We'll go to Friday, and we saw Willie Mullins win the triumph again with a 50-1 shot. Apollon de Charnay. Again, Maestro Conti, Manella Study, Selma Devari, I think, again, Townend did it too far back, was a bit hampered by the start as well here. But Willie Mullins did it last year with Poneros at 100-1. It was only a 50-1 shot this year, but it's another rule that he's exploited fairly well.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to invariably find a way to get round these things. He gets a lot of the top French talent. He can run them in France if we run them here. So and that one had a decent enough profile. There was the odd kind of wee word for it. I mean, if you're looking the outsiders, he was on the radar. So he made my top 10, the list on the day, in the top five of the Willie Mullins ones. Um, and he did it quite nicely in the end. Came travelling sweetly into the last and picked off Manila Study close home, who I was kind of rooting for by the end of it.
Yeah,
I was kind of hoping he'd win. Ran a really good race from the front. He was just there to be shot at a little bit too long. Um, a bit like maybe a bit like Lalamba to a degree last year. You just hit the front a little bit too soon. Um, Electro Conti ran well. Skeletons were quite confident of a good run, and he actually did. But you were left with the overriding feeling that Narciso Has would
yeah,
have been pretty dominant, particularly when Stella Devari was unlucky in fourth and ran quite well, because I think he would have confirmed that form. And yeah, it's the last couple of renewals. It's shaped like it's a bit like a handicap, really, the way it's looked.
yeah. Dino Blue won the Mayor's Chase. This was the one. This was the one race on the Friday I got totally wrong because the kind of logical thing was Dino Blue only by night forecast, and I got wrong. Dino Blue did this fairly well, and only by night showed she'll get 2.5. And Spindleberry, I thought I didn't understand Townend's like view all day and Friday up until the Gold Cup of we'll go kind of back on the outside and the at the back, and it's hardly been working all week, but it's just maybe not good enough. Dino Blue did this fairly well.
Yeah, I mean, again, she's could have done what she did last year, ran to that kind of figure, and that was enough, and it eliminated the mistakes, which is important because if she didn't, then only by night was snapping at her heels and travelling into nicely. I was content back in the second each way. I couldn't believe she went out to 11-1.
Yeah,
That was quite safe. I think she would feel like comfortable she would stay and step up, and particularly with Cromwell Yard going quite well. Um, yeah, ran really well towards the back, trying to track Dina Blue into it, but Dina Blue just had too much class like she did last year. And I presume she'll try and come round again, but yeah, she just operates in the high 150s, and that's the mark to beat. And while it was a little bit, maybe a better race this year coming into it than last year, she's still gone and been well backed and did it quite nicely. So full credit to her. Panic Attack jumped well, prominent. It wasn't fast enough or classy enough. The difference between coming out in handicaps and looking good rather than stepping up here into 150 territory, and she just wasn't able to do it. Spindleberry, peculiar run, as you say. Very weak in the market, pretty much all day. Even yesterday as well, I would say, the day before it. Wasn't really fancied. Maybe that was an indication that she wasn't over her kind of exertion and experience in the Gold Cup, and it seemed to be the case. Out wide, get cut off, kind of two out, rallied briefly, and then kind of flattened out again. Maybe the ground was a shade in the quick side for her as well.
yeah.
I think there's days in her, but I think the second half of the season's probably not gone quite to plan.
Albert Bartlett, another turn up. Johnny's Jury won for Jamie Snow, and Gavin Sheehan won, got a ban, but I think the passing wife was the one I backed on the day. The King's box didn't fire. Dr. Steinberg was the lay of the week. He was way too keen and went off 9-4.
Said it after he won DRF.
Yeah,
That form is garbage, and it is. And he was too keen and didn't get home. Yeah, emptied as soon as he met Rising Ground at the hill. So yeah, he was well stuffed. And I don't think it would have been a fact in the tunnels anyway. I mean, I just think it's kind of it's a winter form that's not going to transcend here.
Kazansky ran a stinker as well, which held up the
Yeah,
form as
he's
well.
rubbish. Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole field are rubbish. I'll be honest in that race. It was garbage to the eye when it crossed the line, and sometimes it just tells you. So I mean, to me, yeah, zero chance. And yeah, it was a case of trying to find the right one each way. And Johnny's duty wasn't on the list.
no.
There was an inconvenience at the start, and has come back from the back and stayed on the best.
I would have been sick if Fruit de Mer won because I really thought King's Box had a good chance. He ran okay to a point,
Yeah,
but
it was kind of difficult to kind of split the Henry horses, but
mhm,
Fruit de Mer had his chance, and hung left a little bit, maybe feeling the pinch. The third again is a massive high catch. I just got there too soon
yeah.
at the last, and it was really sweet on him when supplemented, and he's rewarded each way payments. But he's just been outstayed at the end, like so many do up the hill. Mondu Boy ran well for Ben Pauling in fourth, probably one for the future, and Spinning Again ran fine as well in fifth. didn't really get the clearest of runs when the race developed. So yeah, I think that's going to be a race that's going to work out
I think it'll work out pretty well.
reasonably well
Usually,
again.
usually does, doesn't it? Like, usually
Yeah,
works out pretty well.
Monte Carlo was good. He didn't stay again. I think they should have went away and treated him.
Yeah, and we'll move into the big one, and it was Gaelic Warrior winning the Gold Cup, and Callum. I thought this was sensational. Thought this was performance of the week.
Front's a week by a mile. Yeah, but we needed something
We
kind of like
needed
a
something.
genuine wow factor performance. The loss of Smith kind of delivered it. He took it up by a step. Yeah, he's won a Gold Cup in the bridle, hard held. What else can you say? And he's beat the right two home. My opinion,
We've
Django
been
Day.
we've
I
been
know
in
the way
such
you
a
think.
journey with this horse as well. To see him win a Gold Cup, I think is exceptional.
Yeah, he's been around for a long, long time, and
Yeah,
he's
129. That's the name. That's the numbers that's swinging about. But
yeah, the Fred Winter. Yeah, when he somehow get beat, but I mean, and he's definitely kind of ironed it out, and a bit like the rise of Galopin de Champs to a degree from his younger days. He's came out and he's hitting high 170s quite regularly. It was just a terrific performance. It was a great spectacle. He never missed a beat. Um, and he was able to kind of get settled from having a kind of handy bounce out just in behind one. And it was never in doubt since he was tanking like 4 out. Really, you could kind of call him the winner. It's whether he was going to stay up the hill, and I really no doubt in that score. He does look like a steer. Anyway, he's finishing his off his races much better all season, and coming into this, in the balance of overall form, he'd by far the best book into it. So, and Jack will be second, and I know the way you think Old Chapman coming back, jumping right
very,
after.
very peculiar run from I know the way you're thinking because I
Sounds
was
like that though. I mean,
yeah.
he gets in tight, and doesn't travel too well, makes mistakes, but then he stayed on really well. So he's maybe not 100% back, but he kind of came 95% back. It was enough for him to place.
Jukebox Man. Obviously,
Mm.
they found something. He made a noise. Really kind of sad news. Obviously, Envoy Allen. That was a
Mm.
sore one. Very sore. Because as we say, we talk about Gaelic Warrior. We've been round the block with Envoy Allen as well, and to hear that was horrible. Hortikalua. Rebecca Curtis seems to be adamant they're going to the Grand National. Like, was it just a quick ground?
He was just flat. He never travelling at all to me. I mean, he was just absolutely flat. He didn't pick up. So, no, it was kind of made me like be a bit like he thought, where he's just put a line through it, move on. But to leave that behind and run well in the Grand National, I'd be surprised. But he was one of the market leaders I didn't like. I don't think he was good enough. I don't think he was good enough either. But he didn't. He still didn't run his race on Environment. But I mean, it is very difficult to kind of accept what happened. It hurts, and connections were really quick to kind of come out. I mean, and see when it's a big festival and there's a lot of reaction to it. I think the fact that the travel head lad came out and spoke quickly, and the head of the BHA equine
That was a really good interview,
services
actually.
did
Yeah.
it quickly. You have to go out there quickly and explain things,
Hmm.
and to Connections' credit and the BHA's credit, they did that, and that's a opinion that'll be so. I mean, in a world where people are very quick to just absolutely slaughter people, the second something bad happens, just take a kind of step back a little bit and mind who the people that really kind of care about the horse and hurt about the horses and understand the issue that you might be ranting or raving about.
Yep, absolutely. We'll move into the other races on Friday. Wilful won at two of the week for John Joe O'Neill. They won the county hurdle with Wilful. It's on the line. I deserve all I get, but Barton Snow was given a sensational ride, and Henry de Bromhead won the last with Air of Entitlement. I kind of want to take the hit for It's on the line, but I thought the ride here was exceptional for the winner.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, he's maybe a little bit it's on the line like as well. And the Hunters chasers are like that, they can kind of wander under pressure a little bit. But yeah, was well gambled on.
There was a big shout in somebody, I think, in
Yeah,
the
a lot of the kind of point to point scene, people
mhm.
liked it. Yeah, and what ran accordingly. And it's on the line. He's just your archetypal 140 horse that just doesn't go past anything unless it was loose. So I mean, yeah, you do deserve what you get, to be
I
honest.
do, yeah. But
I will sympathise with Carbow backers and the County
yeah,
Hurler and
yeah.
Sinatra backers and Joyce backers because You know, County Hurdle, you think, you know, you're in well. All these top jockeys, the Bonneville, Harry Skelton, Paul Townend here, they know they're in well handicapped horses, but that doesn't mean that you can just ride too far back and think you're on Pegasus in a week where you can't win from the back,
No.
generally speaking. And, you know, the top two have just boxed on reasonably well. You know, Willful, the most form that's working in behind. And I don't think it was an obvious one, but the O'Neills were doing quite well all
They had a
week.
really good week, yeah.
They were doing quite well, but yeah, the sixth, fifth, and third were in too cold and never looked like getting there, even though they were well handicapped. So, and I don't think Sinatra hit the line that well either. Again, to be honest, I do have a doubt about some of these skeleton horses. Caval de Man as well. It's one. Ludus Sud is one as well. Like, Be Aware is one as well. I just don't find a lot for pressure anyway. My Daddy Parry, I think, as well. I just have my doubts about some of them. When they come up the hill and hit the line, I think they're a little bit overbet. I think he was. I think he's a bit. I think it's a bit of a softie. Well handicapped without a doubt. A Aintree would suit better, but I do think I can see why that was written that way, Sinatra, to a degree, because I think that's the only chance it would have. Really, it would have to come with one run late on. I don't think Carabao did, and I think he had to switch two or three times trying to get that rail. I mean, that's what kind of old Paul Townend manoeuvre is. Go outside, travel best, hit the rail, but 20 runner fields, other horses and jockeys are going to get that idea. You're not going to get a smooth run all the time doing that. And I think if he was further up, I think he probably would have won.
Right, well, just a couple of things before we wrap up. With performance of the week, you would both agree it was Gaelic Warrior.
Yeah, by a mile.
What do we think the ride of the week was?
Danny Mullins and Kyrgyz.
I think I'm going to go for Paul Townend on Illy de Toms. And what was the losing eye catcher of the week? What was the horse you took away? I thought Jump Alem was really eye catching in the Martin Pipe, but the other one that really caught my eye was in the. I thought Selma Devari in the Triumph. I think she'll potentially win a Grade One at Punchestown if they go there. I thought she was really eye catching. There's a few, but any ones you liked that caught your eye?
Joyous in the county was
Or
great.
using the county. Okay, we'll look at our anti-post book and it was okay. It was okay. That's we were. It was actually probably private book that we did better with. But looking at the kind of rate horses we had, I think Karen probably would be an eye catcher as well for you.
Mm-hmm.
But just looking at kind of some that you had, Copacabana that run, Zillow ran in the Martin Pipe, probably the wrong
And
move.
Race didn't stay. Daft
When
move.
Wendrock, what do I can?
I don't think he got over his Leopardstown effort. He drifted on the day, and I think Gordon Elliott admitted that he didn't have many kind of well handicapped horses.
Blaze the Way ran pretty well in Ultima.
Yeah, it's a bit too wide and didn't quite go home. I think made its move a little bit too early up the hill and didn't quite see it out. But yeah, again, short. Another one that shortened and ran well, just didn't quite hit the frame.
Yep, I had Sortudo who flattened out. Leader Dally didn't run. Quinta Delago I got a place for in the Boodles. He could be quite interesting moving forward, but probably disappointing all in. But we'll add to our book for next year already. We're going to have one to start our 2027 anti post book. Callum, want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first. No, you can go first.
Okay. Really good week for the Richies and Mullins and probably Paul Townend. But I found a horse that didn't run at the festival who I think might be eye catching, who actually ran at Carlisle. I'm going to throw in at 25 to 1. He's on fire for Willie Mullins in the Brown Advisory. I think immediately the plan is to go over fences. Patrick Mullins said that when he came off him at Carlisle. Won this very well. Plan is to apparently to go to Punchestown. You can see him doing, like, remember Mr. Policeman and going in a decent hurdle race there, a conditions
Mm-hmm.
hurdle race. And the plan, long term plan being over fences. I think 25 to 1. It's not a division that if King Rascal Grey doesn't go here, it's not a division that's jumping out to maybe a lot of class acts at the moment, but again, that might change. But I think 25 to 1 for the Brown Advisory. I'm going to stick him in as my first bet of 2027. And my only bet of 2027 so far. I haven't done my patent yet. That's how much I'm kind of lacking in anti-pros prices at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I did anti post was barely play because it freed me up for the week, and I did quite well. and you can tie yourself down too much money too soon without the facts, and a lot of late switching stuff, and bad prices. Sometimes it really isn't worth it. But I will have a go at one. One that I've probably alluded to. Yeah, love signed the new in the Turners at 50 to 1. I mean, it just I think you probably get a little bit softer ground next year. It certainly can't be much quicker. Um, and it was just he won his bumper over 2 mile 3 on bottomless ground, and he was just never going to be a champion bumper horse on drying ground, quick
Nah.
ground, going down and trip. So to be no chance really. He was handy enough, but he was just notably outspeeded. He's more of a national hunter horse. He'll be hurdles next season, and I can just. It's already been written off, but I mean, I can see him just being a totally different proposition where he finally jumps, and he's in the Rich Richie Silks. It's a good sign. Mullins, we're going to campaign him like that, and I think 50 to 1 bracket. I think that's more than fair, but I'm not going to go weed in too soon early on in anything significant. I mean, if there was one at really at the top of the market that everyone's latched onto that I agree with, it is Kopek the Board for a champion chase, without a doubt. But 5 to 1, for a horse that had issues coming into it anyway last season, they could resurface.
Don't think we'll ever bet in that race again. Ever. There's
Well,
so
maybe
many.
maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's why everyone's doing it. Say, well, I've got 5 to 1 Kopek the Bowl next season. I'm not going to go through all the heartache. I'm just going to stick in that and hope for the best. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't mind the right. I mean, I was on it when Captain Guinness won it, so I mean, it's kind of all about kind of finding the right. But Kopek de Boer, his jumping did really stand the test in general. Towards the end, a bit sticky at the start, which is understandable because he's coming, he had so much inexperience. But to run like that, it was quite a decent effort because I think everyone thought that it was a kind of boomer bust type. You'd think he's either going to go and win this, or he's either going to bomb out. And the fact that he kind of didn't either actually kind of maybe enhance him a little bit. That he is kind of rugged and solid. It'd be interesting if they go Aintree or Punchestown, because at Punchestown last season, that was a place where I actually disappointed. So maybe they'd rather go Aintree, but again, that turn would be quick. But I mean, Willie Mullins will know what to do there. But yeah, I think in terms of like maybe a token lucky 15 be interested, but I do think that Cheltenham was so competitive this year, dodgy starts. He might not get a true handle of things until the end of the season, in this jump season, when we could maybe do that kind of to be a little bit. But Love signed a new. I think almost went off favourite anyway. Ran all right, but I mean he was just totally outpaced. It was an inadequate champion bumper for him, and he can leave it behind. And he's not stupidly short either, so we could take a flyer on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a flyer at this time of the year is what it's all about. But we will wrap up for another year, Callum. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks again.
Very much. We'll be back. We'll see. Flat season's due up. We'll be back for Aintree. We'll take a look at Aintree. There's Punchestown coming up, and then we're into the flat. So there's a lot to get into, but we will be back over the course of the year. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you all soon, and all the best for the remainder of the year. Thank you very much.